I've told people before, and it's hard for people to conceptualize this, but when you go outside on a sunny day, you suddenly feel better. And part of that is because the eyes, the suprachiasmatic complex, brings light in from your eyes into your brain. But you're actually getting penetration into your brain. As a matter of fact, there's so much light that you can read a book in your brain. It's kind of incredible. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Finding Your Wellness, a podcast sponsored by the Columbia Association. I'm Dr. Harry Oken, a community physician for over 37 years and the medical director for the Columbia Association. I am proud to be working with CA for over a decade to help assist in their mission to improve the health and wellness of our community. My guest today is Dr. Patrick Cox. Patrick and I have worked together on a variety of projects. Right now, we're on a scientific advisory board for the Longevity Playbook, which is an outgrowth of a previous guest, Dr. Michael Roizen, who wrote the book, The Great Age Reboot. This teaches the reader how to become their own genetic engineer. Patrick has written over 100 articles on innovation in health and technology. He's an author of Fountains of Youth and has appeared in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Forbes, and numerous other network news forums. Patrick, thank you for being here today. We're going to talk about red light and photomodulation. First, Patrick, in our previous conversations about this topic, you had mentioned to me there are over 5,000 scientific articles published about red light and its effect on health. So for the listeners, let me give you some more background. Not only does the sun help with the conversion of inactive vitamin D to active vitamin D, a very important vitamin for us, getting sunlight has profound physiologic effects on us. The light we get has various wavelengths depending on its color, brightness, and intensity. The sun puts out a full spectrum of wavelengths, gamma rays, which are very, very small, and then increasing wavelengths from X-rays to visible light to ultraviolet light, followed by infrared light, and then radio waves. This is the full spectrum of light emanating from the sun. The visible spectrum of light is between 400 and 800 nanometers long, ranging from violet to red. Many published studies have shown that your body responds particularly well to red and near-infrared wavelengths, which range from 600 to 900 nanometers. This particular range of light is absorbed by the skin to a depth of 10 millimeters, at which point your mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cells, the area of the cells that has a lot to do with your energy level and the way you age, absorb the photons, and this activates a number of nervous system and metabolic processes. Red light therapy has become an increasingly popular form of biohacking, and it's used to treat a number of conditions. It has been shown to relieve pain, reduce inflammation, and restore function. It's non-invasive and it's non-chemical. So today, with my friend and colleague, Dr. Cox, we're going to get into some of the physiology of using red light for improving your health. Patrick, again, welcome. Thank you for being here. So you use red light, don't you?
Yeah, I do regularly. I think it's really important to understand that red light therapy, photobiomodulation is what the researchers call it, is really just about duplicating conditions that all of our ancestors experienced on a regular basis. We came from people who were in the sun from the minute it rose until it went down. And those different frequencies have played different roles at different times of the day. This is all about the circadian gene network, which is massive and controls all kinds of things. So photobiomodulation really is about restoring that morning red light, which accomplishes all kinds of things. One of the most impressive, by the way, is that somebody who is exposed to red light, either naturally from being outside when the sun is rising or through lights, gets the benefits of SPF 15 sunscreen, but without any of the chemicals. And this has been shown in numerous studies. I think that's remarkable. It just goes to show we have these genetic pathways that are designed to protect us from the harm of the sun, but because of modernity, we're inside most of the time. When we do go outside, we're not prepared for it and therefore are subject to harm. skin damage, cancers, those sorts of things. So this is all about just restoring the conditions that our ancestors all experienced.
So, and to your point, so 200, 250 years ago, we were an agrarian society and we were always out in the early morning, working the fields, doing what we were always doing. And now we're not. And of course, 200 years ago, we didn't have the food manipulation that we have today. So we were getting probably healthier, fresh food, and we were getting much more sunlight. But of course, when we're getting that sunlight, we're not just getting red light, we're getting ultraviolet A and B and C, which can have negative effects on us to some degree if we're not protected.
I mean,
Right.
what we find is, in fact, people who work in the sun don't experience the skin damage of the people who go out occasionally and burn.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that, because the people who have chronic sun exposure and have their system accommodated to it don't have that effect that, for instance, if you go out skiing without sunscreen, or if you're sunbathing and you've not had any sun throughout the year, that does an entirely different inflammatory phenomena to you than just getting regular sun. But you mentioned something that I want to get on early on, and that is you mentioned the circadian piece to this, that getting red light maybe between 600 and 900 nanometers in the morning may be more important than getting it later in the day. Is that correct?
That's right. Eric Jeffrey, who has become, I think, the leading researcher in this area, he's University College London, has shown that red light's benefits don't accrue if you do them at night. So it has, you have to fit those into your circadian rhythm in order to get the benefits.
Right. So if we're deciding that we want to get red light therapy, it's probably best to do it in the morning. And
absolutely.
And in an earlier conversation we had, you had mentioned the dose. The dose, which is the time you spend in it, doesn't have to be particularly long, right?
Yeah. Excuse me. I said Eric Jeffrey. It's Glenn Jeffrey at University College London. And one of the things that he has contributed, he's really moved the research along. Before him, Michael Hamblin from Harvard and the Wellman Center for Photomedicine, I think, was leading the way. But Jeffrey has been experimenting with dose. And what he has found is beyond interesting. He believes, and I think he has the evidence to support this position, that red light is not dose dependent. In fact, there's a switch. There's this thing that happens, and you don't have to do it that often or for that long. Now, Jeffrey's work is primarily in ophthalmology, and he's shown that red light will restore vision, maintain vision in the aged, which I qualify as. But beyond that, there's more and more evidence that it will delay or prevent macular degeneration. It's extremely good for retinal health. And so Jeffrey's been experimenting with the dose and drops it, both in terms of the intensity of the light and the period of exposure. And what he's saying now is he thinks that essentially 2.5, 3 minutes every 5 days is enough to accomplish whatever is happening. And I'd be happy to talk about that because I'm a complete bio geek. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating what we think the mechanisms of action are. But so he actually tells people to expose themselves every day, just to be careful, because we forget. If you try to do something every 5th day, you're likely to miss it. And then you're going to go into this light deprived state where you're subject to neurological disease and things like that. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. 3 minutes, maybe twice a week, is going to accomplish most of what you need to do, which is a lot less than what I do. I mean, I have a $3,500 panels in my office, and I've been spending 10 minutes most mornings rotating like a top. And I think there's still maybe benefit to that, but in terms of getting a minimum dose, I would really recommend people get a light of some sort, or start going outside in the morning and exposing themselves to natural sunlight.
Right. Right. So typically with red light, a lot of people are actually using eye protection while they're exposing themselves to red light. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I have a red light that I use in my sauna, and I always put these little eye cups on myself so I'm not directly looking at the light. What do you think?
Well, if the sauna is using light to heat, then it may be that it's too bright and you could be causing some eye damage. But people don't understand how bright the sun is in actuality. And you go outside all the time, and even if you're not wearing sunglasses, you know not to look at the sun. So you're
Right.
getting light peripherally, getting all kinds of benefits. So as I was saying, Jeffrey's work is in maintaining retinal health and preventing macular degeneration. So I think you want to get some red light into the eye, though it may not be sauna intensity. You might want to get another light, and if I understand his work, he's saying you don't need to spend thousands of dollars like I did on a red light array. You can get a smaller light. He actually turns it to a white wall to completely suffuse the room he's in for just 3 to 5 minutes a couple times a week. That's enough to get the benefits for the eye clearly,
Right.
and probably for the rest of the body. By the way, that 10 centimeter number of light penetration has been
Millimeter,
updated.
millimeter.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, but it's now been shown that red light actually goes completely through the body unless you are obese. And,
Wow.
and this may be another explanation for why obese people have higher disease rates. They're not getting light to their internal organs. So, this mechanism of action in terms of the mitochondria, what it appears to be the primary player is cytochrome C, which is a chromophore, meaning by definition, it's a molecule that responds to light, and it causes it to create cytochrome C oxidase, which is the terminal enzyme in cellular respiration. That's the fourth phase of your mitochondria's conversion of food into this biological energy. And it's critically important because the cytochrome C is what pushes all of these electrons that you've created during cellular respiration between the inner and the outer membrane of the mitochondria. And that creates the energy differential. It's literally a battery, which is then used to attach these phosphates to adenosine di to become an adenosine tri. There's another explanation, however, which is really interesting, not yet totally proven, but Roger Penrose, the Nobel Prize winning physicist, 30 years ago predicted that we would find that there is quantum activity in the brain. Part of the reason that he has dismissed the notion of computer AI as possibly sentient in the next 100 years or so, anyway. And that's because of these microtubules, which we now have seen for sure are able to achieve a quantum state superposition, tunneling. And the more light that they get, the more they're able to rearrange and to work in conjunction like a computer grid. It's really fascinating science. And I think that maybe both of those are going on. It's because it's a switch.
Right.
It's not dose dependent. I mean, something is happening that lasts for 5 days.
That is fascinating. Fascinating. So just to recount a little bit what you said. So the penetration ability of red light is significant. And your comment about if you have significant obesity, how that may play a role in your susceptibility to other diseases is really quite interesting and thoughtful. I've told people before, and it's hard for people to conceptualize this, but when you go outside on a sunny day, you suddenly feel better. And part of that is because the eyes, the suprachiasmatic complex brings light in from your eyes into your brain, but you're actually getting penetration into your brain. As a matter of fact,
Indeed.
there's so much light that you can read a book in your brain. It's kind of incredible. So great comments. Well, so that's about the eye, and that's really important. And incidentally, you and I are both aware of a reprint that just came available to us about the value of melatonin decreasing the risk for age-related macular degeneration as well. So that's a whole nother discussion about melatonin, but melatonin is a fascinating hormone that we all make, and a lot of people take it for sleep, but it looks like it has value. You know, when you talk to people about their fears about their health, blindness is a big fear. It's a big fear. It rates up there right with dementia and cancer and heart disease. People are worried about going blind. So you're right on there. So let's talk a little bit about the value of red light for skin. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's approved by the FDA for wound healing, for acne, for skin quality. There's no question. I mean, there's more evidence for red light's benefits on skin and numerous other diseases than are for many approved drugs.
Right.
But I just made a list of 12 conditions which have multiple randomized controlled trials supporting efficacy. It's chronic joint pain, minor muscle and joint pain, minor arthritis, muscle spasms, minor aches, just pain in general, circulation, wrinkles, skin thickness, dementia, balance, hair loss. It's approved for preventing alopecia and delayed onset muscle soreness from working out. So, and there's also some evidence even helps you lose weight. It mobilizes fat cells. It's pretty astonishing.
It's a pretty impressive thing. You know, one of the advice that I give my patients recovering from any illness is to go outside for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning sun, and get some sunlight. It is so healing. And of course, sanitariums were born, you know, in the early 1900s to help people get better from influenza, to help people during the influenza horrible pandemic, to help people get better from tuberculosis. So no doubt it's impressive and probably underutilized and probably just not known about. Getting back to skin, I think there's some data that it actually stimulates collagen production, correct?
That's correct. That's relatively recent study.
And the collagen, you know, I think just like we lose muscle as we age and bone as we age, we're losing collagen. And so stimulating collagen production and getting an adequate protein in your diet is really helpful for good skin health. How about sleep? Let's talk about sleep. What do you know there?
Well, for me, getting red light in the morning was sort of life-changing. My whole circadian rhythms, I was always a night owl when I was younger, and I think I suffered from it because I had terrible sleep patterns, didn't get enough, it wasn't deep. So I think anything you can do to improve sleep quality, and that usually involves replicating our ancestral patterns to some degree. When it gets dark, you start moving towards bed, and then absolutely sleep is critical for just about everything.
So resetting our circadian rhythms, getting a certain amount of red light in the morning, and it doesn't have to be much. It could be 5-10 minutes. It could be, you could do it with the sun. You could do it with a red light. So let's talk about the gizmos that are out there. So you said you have some red light panels. I have a little column that's in my sauna. I don't use it as much as I should, but I'm getting all psyched up now to start using it more regularly. They can be expensive, but they don't have to be expensive, right?
That's right. I mean, I bought my son and daughter relatively small panels, like, 18 by 12, and felt guilty at the time. But now, because of Jeffrey's work, I think that's probably enough. When my wife is warming up for CrossFit, she turns on her red light. So she's getting enough exposure. That's early in the morning. So yeah, you can spend a lot. I don't really think you need to. If you want full body exposure and you have a small panel, it may take a little longer, but I don't think that, you should be doing balance exercises. You should be doing, there's lots of stuff you can do. Breathing, you should be doing, some sort of meditation or prayer. There's lots of ways to multitask your light exposure.
Running your red light. Yeah, I get it. Now, can you comment on, or have you seen, now they're making hair dryers with red light? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, they've been doing that for quite a while. And there's others that actually have a stick a light up into your nose. I don't think that's necessary, because if you do ultraviolet scans showing light, sunlight or photobiomodulation, red light, it passes easily through the skull, the bones of the skull. So I'm not sure that those are really necessary, and they're somewhat expensive. So I wouldn't recommend them personally.
Mm-hmm. And people are using caps with red light to stimulate hair growth.
Right. That's been used for a long time.
Well, it's a fascinating area. Also, we'll just spend a few moments on mood enhancement and mental wellness, because I think there is the release of endorphins from red light.
Oh yeah, we know about SADs. That's why, in Alaska, these full spectrum lights are so popular.
Right.
It's a way to overcome the lack of light in the environment.
Right.
Yeah, it clearly makes you feel better. It improves your libido. It just makes everything better. And then on top of that, we now have, I think, quite good evidence that it either delays or prevents dementia. It improves cognition. And as always, prevention is always better than treatment. So you should, don't wait until you need it. You should start now so you don't develop the condition.
But if you don't want to get a red light, just get outside. In fact,
Yeah.
when you get outside, particularly in nature, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're out in the forest, even if there's not a lot of light coming in, the green chlorophyll reflects the light back on you, and you're getting a certain range of light, probably around this same spectrum we're looking for, which is 600 to 900 nanometers. So being outside in the forest, getting light during the day is a very,
Right.
very positive thing.
Go to a park, go anywhere where there's a lot of foliage. Yeah, there's no question. Being around green things in the sunshine is a great thing.
And it's because the green things actually reflect the light right back on us, right? We're getting a
That's
lot of
correct.
reflected
Yeah.
light. Yeah. Well, wow. So just to recap, so good for your eyes, good for your skin, good for healing and tissue repair, good for your mood, good for your sleep, maybe having a positive effect in holding off dementia, maybe have a positive effect on the physiology, which helps you lose weight. And if you go out in the morning, it's free, but it's worthwhile if you're interested to maybe think about getting a device. Well, this has
Right.
been a terrific discussion. It's been my pleasure to have you as a guest. And thanks to you, our audience, for listening. And thank you to the Columbia Association for sponsoring Finding Your Wellness. You can listen to all of our podcasts from Finding Your Wellness by typing into your browser findingyourwellness.podbean.com. This is Dr. Harry Oken for Finding Your Wellness. Thank you.